way we calculate the deterioration of carbon atoms and other dating techniques that are used popularly in science are based on what we consider to be the rate at which matter deteriorates. Apparently, that is not true according to the transcripts. That matter, in fact, does not deteriorate at all, because there's a law of the conservation of energy that dictates that a matter or energy may change form, but it doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. You can have a mountain one day and a pile of sand the next, but it's all the same grains of sand, or it's all the same particles. And just because it takes the form of a sandy beach or a mountain, it's all essentially the same matter, and it doesn't deteriorate ever. It's there forever and ever ad infinitum. So perhaps the dating issue has to do with that consideration.
Question that I had was there any indication in the in the transcripts of any type of backward engineering of technology?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Yeah, which I tried to footnote as best I could. Not a lot of stuff like that, but there's a little bit of information in there about the suggestion that perhaps some of the remnants of the craft could be used to develop technologies that would help people on Earth to preserve the environment of the planet, or survive better, or communicate better, or something like that. But very, very little information in there about the craft itself, or the operation of the craft, or anything like that. And I think the lady who did the interviews says specifically the reasons for that is because she's not a pilot or an engineer or anything like that, and didn't have access to the craft itself or any of the wreckage, never saw it or inspected it. The only interaction she ever had was this telepathic communication with the alien at the base. So anyway, so her understanding and her exposure to the physical elements of the craft and all that sort of thing are limited to the alien's information offered by the alien, which is very limited, and one can understand why that might be, because if you were picked up or captured by an enemy military force, I'm sure that you would be very carefully indoctrinated to give name, rank, and serial number only. Wouldn't offer any information of any kind that would be provide the enemy or with any sort of advantage. So whether or not the aliens consider us to be the enemy or not is another point. But I think the technical information offered in the transcripts is fairly limited because of that.
Now, I often ask authors, or in this case editors, how has this book impacted them? How has this kind of changed, or has it changed your worldview? What kind of personal impact? Because the implications of this, if it's in fact authentic, are huge. How has it impacted you?
Yeah, again, this is a subjective thing. My opinion is worth one opinion among billions. But personally, and I think you would agree when you read the material, I think the thing that really, really impacted me the most is the description by the alien of the history of this galaxy and how it was that they came to enter into the galaxy and their activities here, and his assertion that Earth is and has been for a very long time being operated as a prison planet in the very broad spectrum of the galactic and intergalactic governments that are responsible for the activities in this region of the universe. And because of the nature of Earth, because it is so unstable we're subject to constant earthquakes, global cataclysms, polar shifts, volcanoes, tsunamis, the planet, or the continents drift, all of the time. So from an outsider's perspective, anybody who has wanted to set up a real lasting civilization on a planet that would last for billions of years wouldn't choose to use a planet that was in a constant state of flux. I mean, it wouldn't do much good to build an elaborate civilization on a bed of quicksand. And I think that's kind of the point of view that they take of Earth, in addition to its being a heavy gravity planet, which is not very conducive to travel. But it would make, from that point of view, a very good prison planet to transplant your undesirable people, and in their case, as described in the transcripts, what was considered to be undesirable by the civilization that transplanted the beings here to inhabit the bodies that are available on this planet, or put here on this planet, more or less. The thing that makes this useful as a prison planet is because nobody would want to live here.
Well, it's funny because we're kind of like if the galaxy were a Monopoly game, we're Baltic Avenue.
Yeah, sort of like that, I guess. It's not very desirable real estate. If you have a civilization that endures for billions of years and is very substantial, and where you have plans and programs going on over long periods of time, why would you would never consider setting up shop on a planet like Earth that is so fragile and so volatile.
So are they saying that the humans themselves are exiled prisoners, or there are other spirits here or other beings that are being exiled as prisoners?
Well, that's the other thing I was going to mention that to me is really sort of the most revolutionary to my way of thinking, if you want to use that word, is that the alien refers to beings as immortal spiritual beings. So everyone is essentially a spiritual entity that is immortal, an individual immortal spiritual entity, and he uses the abbreviation IS-BE, is-B, and he uses that because it describes the essence of the being as a spiritual entity who is in a perpetual state of now. In terms of time, there is no back or forward in time. There's just a perpetual, never-ending, eternal is. And the reason the being exists at all is because they decide to be. So the combination of the eternal isness and the decision to be sort of summarily defines the essence of an immortal spiritual being in terms of a individual spiritual entity that animates bodies. And essentially, he says, or she says, that's who we are in essence, and that we as spiritual entities animate all of life according to the order of magnitude of the being themselves and their ability and their power to operate and that sort of thing, are the essence of life, and the combination of the spiritual being with matter or with bodies is what life is. So, and that's a commonality across all of time and throughout all the universes in the physical universe. So,
Lawrence, go ahead.